How's it going, my truant people? DrSlaking, the Slacking Doctor, back for week 3. I think, yeah, week 3 of Owl. I'm your coach, well, I'm your captain of the Bellowing Children, in fact. Usually your coach of the Bowling Bovines, the logo you can see down below me. But at the minute, we are representing the Bellowing Children in Owl. As always, my teammates, Aquarius and Steven, have played before me, and Aquarius' video actually joined them for the recap and the replay of their battle. This week, we're going up against Team Slask, so if you want to go and see that one before you watch this one, avoid spoilers, because I'm going to have to talk about their result in that game to give you context for this match. Then the link to Aquarius' channel will be down in the description, as it is on all of the videos for the Owl. So definitely go and check that out. Now, as I say, this week we're going up against Team Slask, and I am facing off against Oscar specifically. Oscar is a coach that I've had to battle a couple of times recently. I can't really say why, because it'd be spoiling other things, so I'll let you guys wait to see for that one. But this was a really, really intense game. Because, and I'm going to spoil stuff now, if you haven't already, go and check out the other video, then please do that. But my team is currently sitting at 1-1, so this game was a must-win game. I won't actually say who won and who lost, because then that's still, if you decide to go and watch Aquarius' battle after this, at least you're not going to know whether they were the one that won or they were the one that lost, so we'll keep it like that. But yeah, so we were 1-1 going into this game, and what that basically means is that I have to beat Oscar for us to win the week. You win the week 2-1 or 3-0. If you fall 2-1 or 3-0, then you lose, if that makes sense. That was a terrible way of explaining it. Whoever wins best out of 3 from the coaches within the team wins the week. I think that makes sense now. So we're going up against Oscar. And Oscar's a really, really good player. A really, really good player, actually. And all of Team Slask are, obviously. I mean, they were leading the league in Season 1 before it folded, and they won Season 2. So, essentially, 2 times champions of the league is the way that I kind of think of Team Slask. And Oscar was on that team and really helped them out in a couple of pressure situations. I do think Oscar's best performances come when he's under pressure. I think games like this where his team are 1-on-1 is when Oscar absolutely shines. I think they're usually his best games. So it sucked that I had to play him after everyone else had played. It didn't look like that was going to be the case at the time. It looked as though we would be battling second, but that's not the case. So I had to play Oscar when he was really in the mood and his team needed a win, which was not ideal. But there we go. I myself haven't been doing too badly in pressure situations lately, so we'll see how that is. Going up against him, I'm going to quickly tell you the team that we've got. We're not doing long team builders because I'm supposed to keep videos short these days, although I've already rambled on a little bit. But we have Offensive Life Orb Nidoking with just Earth Power, Sludge Wave, Thunderbolt, and Ice Beam, basically dual stab and coverage. If you can see, like, Earth Power, Ice Beam, Earth Power. I mean, Earth Power isn't super effective on Scolipede, obviously, with the bug typing, but it's going to hit it hard. So yeah, Earth Power, Ice Beam, Earth Power, Ice Beam, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt. We hit everything on his team for super effective or just decent damage on the Scully. Looks pretty nice to me with Nidoking here. And because of his speed tiers, we're able to run pretty bulky Nidoking. We're actually really quite invested in HP on Nidoking. Didn't need a lot of speed because of his speed tiers. Then we have Scarf Togekiss. This set was something along the lines of Air Slash, Baton Pass, maybe Dazzling Gleam. I think Dazzling Gleam was on there, and I don't remember the fourth move. It might have been Fire Blast or something. They had a third offensive move to go with the Baton Pass. It didn't have any recovery, I don't believe, or anything like that. And then here we have a max defense, max HP Druddigon. Rocky Helmet, the idea being we can wear down the Scolipede or the Megalopony, which he didn't bring. Between Rough Skin and Rocky Helmet, it's going to do a lot of damage. Also has Rest just to get recovery, Stealth Rocks to get rocks up, and Sucker Punch to make sure we can wear down the Scolipede, even after it's got a speed boost up. I did not want to get swept by Scolipede. It's something I've been using and loving it in the ABC. I didn't want it to come back and bite me, so this is our main Scully check. Then the Reuniclus I'm not going to talk about for reasons that you'll come to see. The set never got used in the game. It was supposed to do a lot in this match, but it didn't. And I don't want to talk about the set because it might be a set that I reuse. So I'm sorry. I'm going to keep that one under my hat a little bit. And then we have Persian. This is a Scarf, Parting Shot, Foul Play Persian. I'm trying to think. Oh, I also had Thunderbolt for the Swallow because Oscar's famous for liking certain sets and bringing those certain sets repeatedly. I don't know if I've ever seen him run Physical Swallow. He nearly always runs Specs Boom Burst Swallow, just as I did in the LTC, so this is not a slight to him. I ran Boom Burst Swallow for the last like 6 weeks of the LTC in a row because it's so damn good. But to make sure I had a good revenge killer to that, I've got Scarf Persian with Thunderbolt. Literally, if this thing takes like 10%, then it dies to Thunderbolt. from our Persian, because we do have quite a lot of special attack investment. Other than that, everything else is plowed into speed to make sure we outspeed Scully at +1, and then the rest is slapped into defense. So we actually have quite a lot of defense with a fur coat. What that means is that we always live a Mega Horn after 1 round of rocks. I thought we lived after 2 rounds of rocks because I changed up the build midway through to get the special attack to hit Swallow, and my original build was max defense, which meant we lived after 2 rounds of rocks. However, it's still a good chance that we live after a round of rocks. It's basically a 50-50 chance. And that's on a jolly non-boosted Scolopede. If it's like Life Orb or something, then we just die. But the idea being that I can just hard switch into Persian, even if rocks are up, I'll live the Mega Horn, he gets a +1 speed boost, that's fine, and then I do like 50-60% with the foul play, or if he goes for an SD, I just Oko with the foul play. So that's really what this thing's here to do, is to make sure that we get to check this. I do think like a Tanga Berry set could have worked really well as well, thinking about it. I don't know why that didn't occur to me until just now talking about it, but I decided to go with a Scarf, just to make sure. Maybe Tanga wouldn't have worked at +2, and if he'd had Z, but then we wouldn't have took Z anyway, but we would have outsped if he'd gone for a Sword Stance. So, you know, there's swings and roundabouts, because this is one of his Z captains, and I did think like either Buginium or Poisonium Z was a dead cert to come. I thought Sword Stance or Protect with Mega Horn, Poison Jab, and probably Earthquake. Then last up we have Mega Blastoise. This has not been a quick team recap, I'm so sorry. Mega Blastoise with a trapping set. So this is like really Spadef with Block, Toxic, Sub, and Water Pulse. The idea being his only real switch into a Water Pulse, if you look at his team, is the Mantine. The reason being that, like, yes, you could switch in Dragalge, but Dragalge doesn't want to take an Ice Beam, so you are risking potential Ice Beam there. Coverage. So this thing's idea is to lure in the Mantine, Toxic it, sub up on it, block it so it can't get out, and Mantine's never going to break the sub or wear me down. It doesn't get access to Whirlwind, I don't believe, so it can't really do a lot to phase me out either. So that was the kind of thinking with this team. And then here we go at the team matchup. I noticed that he doesn't bring his Megalopony, which was the main threat that I noticed he didn't bring. He also had things like a Rotom Heat that I thought might come. So looking at his team, I was like, wow, he hasn't really got a defogger. Swallow would be the main defogger here, and I don't think it's going to be a Specs Boomburst set. But crucially, what that means is that if I get Rocks up, even if Swallow comes in defogs, it'd be in range of Scarf Thunderbolt. So Rocks do look pretty nice here. However, I don't just want to leave the Drillingum because it's still really important to keep this damn thing in check. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to probably try and counter lead him. And looking at his leads, he has 2 Stealth Rockers in Hippowdon and Lycanroc, and he has a potential Toxic Spiker in Dragalge. If he leads with all of those 3, you know, I have various things that could do a job on them. Nidoking, for example, would love leading off against these 2. Yeah, it wouldn't want a Drill Run particularly, but it would live the Drill Run and be able to fire off a big Earth Pass, take care of the Lycanroc. So I was thinking maybe Nidoking, but in the end I realized that if he led with Swallow, which was his other lead as a U-turn option, I was in a really, really bad position where I was going to take massive damage on Nidoking. And I didn't want to just bluff that Nidoking had Rocks, which was what I was kind of thinking initially. So instead I decided to lead with a Blastoise. I hit these 2 for super effective damage. I probably scare out the Dragalge in case I have an Ice Beam when he doesn't know my set. And I can take a Boom Burst and do huge damage to the Swallow with a Water Pulse. So my kind of thinking is, yeah, let's leave with Mega Blastoise. And hopefully we could just lure in that Mantine and get the ball rolling from turn 1. So we do lead with the Blastoise, with Steven, my teammate of course, and he does leave the Swallow, so here I'm like, yes, I made that call right. We bait in the Mantine exactly as we want, and I just go for a Toxic. I did consider going for a Block, but then if he did click Boom Burst, I was kind of screwed, so I was like, okay, we're just going to go for Toxic. We can always sub up on this thing, and I think he realizes this is a bold move going for that Toxic. Something weird's going on here. I'm just going to double out. So he doubles out into his Dragalge, and now I'm behind a sub. I think he realizes he has to break the sub and test if I have Ice Beam. He will take an Ice Beam because Dragalge is pretty bulky. But I think he's just going to go for T-Spikes potentially. So I just fire off a Water Pulse, try and get the confusion. And here I have to stay in because nothing wants to switch into a Sludge Wave if he's offensive. And we see here that this actually specs Modest Dragalge, and this really took me off guard. I didn't prep for this at all. I didn't expect it to come. I don't really know how to deal with it. So I'm in a pretty bad situation where Steven's taken a huge amount of damage. But I have got the Toxic on the Mantine. So the Mantine now isn't going to be switching in that regularly anymore once I've got Rocks up, because it's going to take Toxic damage, it's going to take Rocks damage. It's really going to get worn down. And that was important to try and, you know, essentially break that thing early. And that chip will become important later in the game as well. So Dragauji's just kind of sitting there, and I'm like, okay, I don't know quite what I'm supposed to switch into this thing. Oh wait, it specs into Sludge Wave. That's valuable information, because that means that Nico the Nidoking is going to really eat this up and scare it out, and we can rebuild. Or he stays in and takes one and dies. So here I'm just going to fire off an Ice Beam. If he goes into Mantine, at least it's neutral rather than doing an Earth Power that wouldn't have done much. I don't think there's any way he stays in. I'm not sure Ice Beam would have killed the Dragauji. Maybe it would have done. It pretty depends on his HP investment versus the speed investment. But what this does is this puts him in range of Thunderbolt. However, at the end of this turn here, we see the toxic damage take place, and we don't see leftovers pop. And I'm like, okay, you're bringing in Mantine on a Nidoking. This is Wakamberry, right? This is the only thing. If you're not leftovers, the only thing you could want to be maybe like Mental Herb for a taunt, but I don't really have any taunters in Persian. But like, no, I don't think so. Wakamberry to try and take a T-Bolt from my Nidoking makes a lot of sense, because then this thing could really do a lot of damage with a Scald to a Nidoking. And, or Charty Berry to try and take a hit from my Terrakion. But I don't want to run the risk that it's Wakan rather than Charty, so I'm just going to switch out. This thing's very easy to switch in on because it doesn't really hit that hard. So we're just going to pivot back out into Steven. We can potentially block him in and just make sure he takes some more damage. So he goes for a Skull, and he actually gets the crit there, doing 11%, which means I think he 2-hit KOs, which is unfortunate because I don't think he would have 2-hit KO'd without the crit. So we do go for the block, and he doesn't indeed pick up the 2-hit KO. It doesn't really matter though, because what this has essentially done is, as I said, that toxic chip and keeping him locked in like that basically now means even through the Wakamberry, we will kill with Thunderbolt. And he doesn't really have a good switch into Nidoking because of my potential coverage. So here we just click the Thunderbolt, and the Mantine drops. What's really, really nice as well is that we're kind of bluffing Scarf at the minute, because he saw us fire of an Ice Beam. And unless he bothers to do the calc, which he might not have done, we could just be Scarf, because the way I switched out, it makes it look like we might have been locked in. I didn't want to go for the T-Bolt. If he's running the calc, then he knows what I thought. But there's the potential for that. So we just fire off a T-Bolt. And he's going to bring in the Powdon. Again, maybe thinking I'm Scarf. But I don't want to run the risk that he fires off an EQ in case he has run the calc. So I'm just going to go into Double D here. I know this isn't going to do too much. And I know that I'm going to be able to rest up on this thing after I've got my own rocks up. Because the way I see it, I haven't brought a Defog this week. And he's probably going to be able to get his rocks up, so I want to make sure I've got mine up. That way it's kind of even, and the way I see it, rocks do more to his team. I did think Reuniclus would be my win con, and it didn't take damage from rocks, so there you go, know your ability. You don't know the set still. And his win cons look like Scolipede and Swallow to me, and they both take big damage from rocks. So I'm like, rocks are kind of more valuable long game for me than they are for him, I think. So if he wants to defog, that's fine. But I'm going to make sure if he's got his rocks up, I've got mine up. And here we can just click rest, because he does decide to keep going for the Earthquake, and I'm like, has he not got rocks? That's weird. But at the very least, we're going to make sure that we're in a good range of health to try and take on that Scolipede. He gets a little Sandstorm damage, and I'm like, okay, the only attack I've seen from this thing is Earthquake, so I'm just going to go out into Gypsy, see what he wants to do. And he Whirlwinds me, and he actually Whirlwinds me into Reuniclus, and I do think that I should have used my Reuniclus set here, but I wanted to preserve it. It felt too early in the game, and I think that was a mistake. But I just decided to switch out into Alolan Persian, because I'm like, Alolan Persian can take a hit. I want to keep Drillagum pretty healthy. So let's go into Alolan Persian. It's not ideal. It means that I can't hard switch in on the Scolipede, but if I take any damage from the Hippowdon. But at this point, I'm like, okay, so he switches. If as long as I Parting Shot here, we're fine. And actually, if I Parting Shot here, this puts him low enough that Reuniclus can take any Specs hit from this thing and recover it off. Any hit he wants to go for, even if he locks into Draco Meteor, like, that would be doing low damage anyway. He misses, which sucks, but as I said, we lived any damage, and we just, here again, I think I should have gone for my Reuniclus set. Instead, I just click Psychic, and I kill the Dragauji. I think I should have tried to use my Reuniclus set here, because once he'd got the lowered special attack, I could have recovered. At least it would have forced him out into something else, or if he'd stayed in, then we would have just forced out the Dragauji and made it take another turn of rocks. But I decided to go for the Psychic here, because I'm starting to think that actually Scarf Togekiss looks really, really nice in this matchup. It's going to be able to kill the Swallow. It's going to be able to kill the Scolipede if it doesn't get to +1 speed. So I'm like, okay, that looks quite nice. Nidoking can take a hit from the Lycanroc and kill it, and can also Ice Beam the Hippowdon if it gets a little bit of chip. So I'm starting to think like, okay, like Reuniclus is still my win con, but it's a slightly different win con at this point. because I have other things that can do the job. And here I'm so scared of him clicking Mega Horn that I just go straight into Andrew thinking I could take a hit. And we actually die. And like I said, that was a 50-50 roll if he's jolly. If he's adamant, I don't know if he's adamant. But he needs to be jolly to outspeed Terrakion at neutral. And I think he would want to outspeed Terrakion at neutral. So I'm guessing he's jolly. And this was a 50-50 roll. Really, really sucked. I wish that I'd taken the special attack out of the investment on this and put it into more defense. Or I'd rang a Tanga Berry maybe, but then we wouldn't have outsped actually, so that wouldn't have worked. So it just really, really sucked that Andrew dropped here because now I'm in a terrible position where this thing's at +1. I should have really just sacked the Reuniclus because, like I said, other win cons were starting to emerge, and yeah, I maybe could have pivoted around and done a bit more, but we still have Drodigan, so I'm like, it's fine. This is why I had rest on Drodigan, exactly for this purpose. We take a round of rocks, it doesn't do too much. He can't really hit me that hard. We're just going to keep trying to hit Sucker Punch. He actually misses his Mega Horn, which is pretty nice. Not going to lie. So we do get a little bit of luck there, which kind of helps us out. And then he goes to Mega Horn again, and he does 40%. As we stay asleep, unfortunately. But this time, we are going to wake up, of course, because it's rest. I don't know why I was thinking that we could wake up before that. I knew when we could wake up. Never mind. And I just go for the Sucker Punch here because I'm like, okay, if I get him down to 21%, he dies to the next round of Rocky Helmet and Rough Skin damage. Perfect. I know it's a Z Captain, but I'm like, okay, the only way he doesn't make contact with me is if he's the Earthquake. Regular Earthquake won't kill me from here, so like I'm in a really good position where either I kill him with this Sucker Punch, plus Rough Skin or whatever, or I kill him with the next Sucker Punch, and he clicks Acid Downpour, and I'm like, okay, you die. Wait, why didn't you die? And the reason he didn't die is because Z moves don't make contact, and I didn't know that. I thought if the Z move was based on a contact move, it was a contact move. I don't know, I guess because they, like, if it's a physical move, it's physical. If it's special, I assumed contact applied. Which is really, really stupid when I think about it, because I know that Tough Claws boosted Z moves don't get the Tough Claws boost, right? Because I drafted Barbarical thinking it did that, thinking that it would get the boost to Liquidation with Tough Claws plus the Z boost. It doesn't, and I found that out, and I should have known that, but in my head I was still like, oh, the only way is if he's Z Earthquake, and he is not Z Earthquake. It doesn't make sense against my team to bring Z Earthquake. Acid Downpour makes sense. So this was really, really problematic, because now I'm like, crap, I need him. There's two ways I kill this thing. A, he's Aqua Tail instead of Earthquake, in which case Nidoking can take a hit. But Aqua Tail doesn't make any sense, because what do you want to hit with Earthquake? You want to hit, or Aqua Tail, you want to hit Magmortar and you want to hit Nidoking. What else? Well, you would probably want to hit the Klinklang that otherwise would wall this set, and so you would run Earthquake, not Aqua Tail, right? That was my thinking, so I'm like, okay, I need him to miss Mega Horn. I need him to miss Mega Horn on Reuniclus, or it's all over here. There's, you know, it's a semi-decent chance. Unfortunately, he does land the Mega Horn, and I'm like, GG. This is GG. I can't kill this thing. This thing just sweeps. I've been swept by Scolipede. That was the one thing I wanted to avoid. God damn it. Never mind. That happens sometimes. And he reveals to be Aqua Tail and misses, and I was like, oh, if I had known he had Aqua Tail, I could have gone into this. I guaranteed to live the Aqua Tail even if it landed, so that made no difference. And I could have saved my Reuniclus, and Reuniclus would have won this game. 100% won this game. Always won this game. So I was like, god damn. Now, I spoke to Oscar after the match, and I said, you know, I thought you were going to be Earthquake, not Aqua Tail. And he was like, oh, I don't actually know why I wasn't Earthquake. So, like, I'm not calling him out or anything. But my point is, I'm not stupid for thinking that. I wasn't, like, being an idiot, being like, oh, he's got to have Earthquake. Like, even he was like, oh, yeah, maybe I probably should have been Earthquake. It was just an oversight in his prep, I guess, which is fine. Like, I do that. Like, you guys have been around the channel long enough to know that I bring the wrong abilities on Pokemon all the time. I've brought 3 move slots before. I forgot to do EV investments before. Like, I 100% get it, and it's a very marginal oversight where basically you could have had a slightly more powerful move with slightly better coverage and better accuracy. But nevertheless, we do kill this Scolipede, which is hilarious to me that we easily could have gone into Reuniclus and potentially won this game here, but it just sucks. And he clicks Boom Burst on Nidoking. That's okay. Nidoking drops. We have to go into Gypsy. We can definitely kill this thing with an Air Slash. We couldn't have lived the Boom Burst. That's why we didn't go hard into Gypsy. So the Swallow drops. And at this point, if he doesn't have a Cell Rock, I can maybe flinch down this thing. And then he doesn't have rock coverage on the Hippowdon. But unfortunately, he does have a Cell Rock. And we do drop. It makes sense. If I'm going to bring Scarf Togekiss, which looks like it has a good matchup against this team, I would bring a Cell Rock too. So, it's just good prep on his part. So, GG's my man Oscar. Fully deserved his win. From my perspective, I think there were two big misplays. I think that after Reuniclus went down here, I couldn't win the game with these two anyway. There was just no world in which, because he went into Swallow, he clicked Boom Burst, I clicked Air Slash, he went into Lycanroc, he clicked a Cell Rock. So I think that me trying to dodge the Mega Horn before seeing if he had Earthquake was weirdly a misplay, because at this point I just lost if he landed the Mega Horn anyway, even if he had Aqua Tail, as you saw. So it's hard for me to kind of explain what I mean. I played the probability where there was a more likely chance that he missed the Mega Horn than there was a chance that he didn't have Earthquake. That's true, because even he acknowledged, yeah, I probably should have had Earthquake. But rather than playing the probability, I should have played the end game, which was, well, I lose anyway if... I don't need Nidoking to win at this point, right? All I need is a Mega Horn miss to win. So I might as well see if he has Aqua Tail first. If he has Earthquake, that's fine. He still has to miss the Mega Horn. That was the same situation we were in before. So, do you see what I'm saying? I think I played the probability rather than playing the game. And that was a really, really bad decision. So I think that was my major misplay. I think the second misplay was going hard into... where is it? Here. Going hard into Persian here was a slight misplay because... It was a big misplay. Because there was no way in hell he was clicking SD here. No one clicks SD here, right? Because it's a Reuniclus. It's gonna kill you. It is gonna kill you if you click SD. Like, you have balls of steel if you click SD here. Like, you have to click X Scissor or Mega Horn. Because I could just sack Reuniclus 100%. You don't know that this is my win con. You don't know anything about this Reuniclus. So I do think at this point, I should have gone hard Druddigon. Because hard Druddigon, my fear was that it gave him an SD. But it still had the same effect where he had to attack me twice and then take a Sucker Punch. So, or at least once and then take a Sucker Punch. But then I guess I didn't outspeed with Scarf. But if he didn't click SD, I could have lived the Mega Horn. No, I couldn't. I don't know. I feel like I maybe should have just sacked. Yeah, I probably should have just sacked Reuniclus, honestly. I probably should have just sacked Reuniclus, gone into Persian, clicked Foul Play, then he would have been in Sucker Punch range. But then I couldn't have won with these two at the end game anyway. But I would have had Druddigon, potentially, that I could have rested up and won with Druddigon. I don't know. I do think that this was just maybe going into Andrew the first time when I let him take the first round of rocks here. Maybe that was a mistake. Maybe I should have gone Druddigon. Maybe I should have just preserved this thing at 100%. Yeah, that's probably true. Either way, misplays were made. I think they're the two. I think I shouldn't have let this thing take a round of rocks. I just thought I could take two. I didn't realize it was a 50-50 roll because I forgot that I changed my spread slightly. And I probably should have scouted with Nidoking first. That was the biggest misplay of the game because, like I say, I just played the probability instead of the match in front of me, which was foolish, but it happens. You know, we make these mistakes. So unfortunately, what that does mean is that the Bellowing children did lose 2-1 this week. As I say, do still check out Aquarius' game because it was a great game. Really, really good game against Isaac. So definitely go and check that out. And as I say, I joined them for their post-con, which was really, really fun, actually. But yeah, as I say, we do fall 2-1. It sucks. Us and Team Slask going into this week were the only teams that were 2-0. We were the only teams that had won both of our opening weeks. So it was one team couldn't remain undefeated, and unfortunately it was us. It does now mean that the Bellowing children, as coaches, we all have the same individual records, so that's pretty nice that we're doing pretty evenly. Next week we go up against the Forecast. I am playing Scout Probopass. This is the first time I've ever played Scout. Yeah, this is the first time I've ever played Scout. I've known her for, I'm pretty sure I didn't play her in our season 2. Unless I'm misremembering, in which case I apologise, but I don't think I played her last season. Who did I play on the forecast? I played Boots because he swept me with his Volcarona. Yeah, so I didn't play her last season. So it's going to be really, really fun to play Scout for the first time. I've known her for ages, but I've just never got the chance to play her, so I'm really, really excited for that. Oh, this was my other misplay as well, because what I should have done here is I should have known that Z-Moose made contact, and I should have sacked probably Togekiss. Yeah, probably. And then I would still have had Nidoking. And this thing to take another round of Rocky Helmet on this thing, and Rough Skin. So, misplays were made. That was my second big misplay. That was it. I knew there was two, and it wasn't the Persian so much. It was not switching out on the Z move because it was obviously coming. And not... yeah, and not... scouting for the Aquatail early on. I'm sorry, I got lost in thought then. I went really quiet. I was just annoyed with myself. Like, yeah, I could have played that a lot better. Never mind. Either way, GG to my man Oscar. I can't wait to play Scout next week. That's going to be awesome. I hope you guys are enjoying Owl. I hope this was a short video. It was supposed to be short. God knows if it was. But yeah, we'll be back next week with another game. Thank you so much for loafing around with me, and I'll catch you again next time.